first down. And the rush will get to him at the 25. He's a one-man wrecking crew on this defensive front. This is the type of performance that can etch you in Wolverine lore forever.
Yeah, and it's a great lore to be etched in. Obviously, year after year, you see so many dominant guys in the trenches. And this is how it's done. You stop the run first, you get them in passing situations, pin your ears back, and go put your name in those record books.
Leaves it with the back. And they'll bring him to the ground after a short gain. 7th play of the drive coming up, but a long way to go on 3rd down. Looking downfield, and he needs a bunch. He's got an open man. And the explosiveness, the big gainer, gets it to the 49-yard line.
Well, this guy's having a day. It doesn't matter where he's lined up or what routes he's running. He just seems to always be getting open, and his quarterback is taking notice. He's looking his way. Nice job there, throwing in time, getting it to him in space and allowing him to go to work. This is turning into a very nice statistical day for this wide receiver.
And it's an incomplete pass on the deep shot, but the flag is down. Let's check the call. You can't do that. An illegal forward pass will cost the offense 5 yards. They'll run play action. This time it's complete. Inside the 35, knocked out of bounds. This offense with a big play, and they'll mark it at the 33. Sometimes your tight end's a safety valve, and sometimes he's your go-to receiver.
And the offense knew right away it was the primary target. It was where he was going with the football, because you know you get a little bit of suck up from those linebackers with the play action, and you feed the big fella.
Just inside the 35, 1st and 10 from the 34. Use the play fake, now to throw. Pressure coming. Down he goes, and that is the last thing this offense needs right now.
Oftentimes with play action, you're asking the quarterback to hold on to the ball a bit longer, and you're asking this offensive line to hold up in pass pro a bit longer. Against this athletic front 7 on defense, it's going to be tough.
The Nittany Lions have put themselves in dire straits after that last play. It's 2nd and a mile. Wants to go up top. Flushed out of the pocket. And he avoids the hit and slides after the short gain. They've methodically worked the ball down the field. 11th play of the drive coming up, but this one 3rd and long. Looking to throw, and he needs a chunk play. Unleashes it. Oh, they really could have used that catch there. Physical pass defense. It brings up a 4th down. They'll try to put 3 on the board as the field goal unit comes on. And it slips just inside that right upright. A lead down to just 3, 20-17.
How about it? 50-plus, no problem. Big leg, nice accuracy. That's a big-time kick for this young man.
Here he comes from inside his own 5. Really disciplined job by the coverage unit to get down there and make the stop at the 19. So they start this drive from inside their own 20 at the 19-yard line. And he was fortunate not to lose yardage on that play, able to wedge it back to the line of scrimmage. We've reached the end of the period, and Michigan has the lead. And as we switch ends of the field, let's take a quick look at the national rankings. When you're dealing with a deficit like this, it's all about somebody stepping up to make a play, and you might as well start here in the 4th quarter. Give to the running back. He is going nowhere. Stop at the line of scrimmage. These old girders are rocking on 3rd down here at Beaver Stadium. Makes the catch. It's Coates. Such a big part to convert these 3rd downs, and they've got it at the 42. The Wolverines have it with a 1st and 10. Takes the handoff. It's Shields. and he finds some solid space, makes a nice gain before the defense is able to stop him. Good spot after that 7-yard pickup on first down. It's 2nd and 3. From the gun, the ground game. He's brought down, but it'll be enough for a first down. And the Wolverines are moving quickly down the field. Off the play fake on first down, wants to throw. And they weren't able to make the connection. They were looking for an explosive play. So now it's 2nd and long. Just going to keep it after the snap. Defense swarming on that loose ball. It'll be a turnover. Man down on the play as the officials take a break to let him be checked out. Trying play action. Hit hard as he released the ball on that first down pass, and it never had a chance. Backed up now. Here's 2nd and long. Looking to fire. Unloads it left. He makes a catch. They'll finally drag him down, but not before he gets it to the 40, and it's a first down. Looking to throw on first down. Tosses it incomplete.
I don't know about the decision that time by the quarterback. He may have been expecting man coverage, but that time the defense was in zone, and they did a really nice job closing the window. The intended target was not open, and that's why that one fell incomplete.
Right on target this time. Just making a play, getting it to the 23-yard line. It'll be first down. Looking to throw on first down. Throws to the wideout. Catch in the middle, it's made. That completion will take them inside the 10 to the 9-yard line. And if they want to take the lead, can't be thinking field goal here. They'll need a touchdown. Touchdown, Penn State! And they grab the advantage, taking the lead here in the 4th.
And this is a running back, guys, that gets better as the game goes on. Here we are late in this one, and he's still breaking off big runs. Impressive, making people miss, showing you the speed. And that touchdown gives his team the lead.
On to attempt to try. And the extra point is good, and every point counts. It's now a 4-point lead in the 4th. And for a quick update, let's go to Kevin Connors in the studio.
Man, it just means more in the SEC, and take a look at how things are playing out here. Georgia is currently trailing in this one, but it feels like the momentum may be turning. These dogs have picked themselves up off the canvas before, and they are capable of it again today. They're trailing by just 4 to Missouri. Just another week of SEC football where we've come to expect the unexpected. Fellas?
Thanks for the update on that one, Kevin. Let us know when it goes final. This freshman quarterback is slinging it out there to pick up that first down. Oh, he's got a chance. And he gets it just beyond the line of scrimmage before he gets down. Try to make up for some of that lost ground on 2nd down. Off the play fake. Trying to burn this defensive back. And a big play on the outside. What a job to keep those feet in bounds and get the completion.
Man, that is just what this offense needed. The quarterback already has a couple turnovers, throwing the ball to the other team. This ball, 50-50 ball, somebody needed to make a play to spark this offense, and the receiver does it. Nice catch, nice job after the catch, and this offense has some momentum now.
The Wolverines can play this 2nd down a lot of ways with just a few yards to go. They'll run it from the gun. And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that. Enormous play coming right here. 3rd down, and this crowd is bringing down the house. On target. And it's complete at the 6. Defense right there, but now they're backed up with a goal-to-go situation. A first down run in the red zone. And there was nowhere to go, just stopped in his tracks in the backfield. Defense rolls up deep in its own end on that last play. Now a 2nd and long coming. Trying to find the end zone. That completion will take it inside the 4, and the offense is threatening. A 3rd and goal, and this defense feeling energy from the crowd. Pulled down for the tackle. And this could prove to be the biggest play of the game. They'll go for it on 4th and goal. Calls his own number. He's not going to get there. A big stop for this defense on 4th down. The Nittany Lions buried deep in their own territory, just trying to find breathing room on 1st down. And this run won't give them any more room to operate, but at least they avoided the safety. Time is on their side, and they're going to wind that play clock all the way down. The give as they work on that clock. Picks up the 1st down, still moving. That's why a good running game is a coach's and quarterback's best friend when you're trying to put the lid on the game. Going to run it. It's Cooper. Solid gain to get him out close to the 20. Pick up a 5 to the 19. Timeout called here by the defense. It's the first one they've used this half. To the ground with the back. Out of the crowd, and now he's got room. They'll guide him out of bounds down at the 25-yard line. The Nittany Lions are rolling down the field. Now he's looking to throw it. Here's the pressure. This junior making his presence felt and making the stop after a short gain. The defense uses a timeout. They want to make sure they have the right call here. They'll give it to the back. Got a little space. They opened the lane, and he hit it a gain of 5 out to the 33. Defense uses a timeout quickly, trying to get that ball back and preserve time for their offense. They'll try to pick it up on the ground. Knocked down in the backfield, and that'll bring up 4th down. 2-minute timeout arrives, and this defense desperately needs to get the football back. The Nittany Lions will call on their punt team. He gets it up to the 34-yard line before he stopped, and that's where the offense will set up shop. Opening play of this drive comes from the 34. First play of the drive, wants to throw. Quickly out to the tight end. And an absolutely fearless tackle, giving up size, still got him on the turf. If the quarterback's a little more on target there, maybe they hook up, but it's an incompletion. These fans stepping up to help this defense on 3rd down. Using his legs, keeping his eyes downfield. And he's to the 48-yard line. That'll be good enough for a 1st down. Everybody has to be set. They have to get it off. Wants to go up top on 1st down. Working the middle. And a big-time grab there. Knocked down immediately, but not before he gets it to the 40. Wants to throw on 1st down. Here comes the heat. Just couldn't find an open man. He'll get rid of it, and it'll be 2nd down. Couldn't make the connection last time. Let's see if they throw it again. 2nd down, they'll go to the air. Going over the top. He hauls it in, and nobody's close. Touchdown, Wolverines. And they've got the lead in the final minute.
Really good execution by this offense late in the game, under a minute, score to take the lead. It's what you draw up, it's what you dream about, but now my defense has to go on the field and get me one more stop.
This one's big to make sure they can't beat you with a field goal. And it's good, and he's got the lead up to 3 late. So that scoring drive took only 6 plays. And the clutch late score that almost certainly will be the game winner. Looking for an alley from inside his own 10. He was hoping for something a little more dynamic, but they get him on the ground at the 20. A lot of field in front of them as they open this possession from their own 20. Caught over the middle. It's made. Calling a timeout here, you have to avoid making a mistake in this situation. Gets the back moving. Looking downfield on first down. It's complete on the right side. And he gets out of bounds to stop the clock. They've got a first down. They're in plus territory, and they've got a chance to win the game. The give to the tailback. We'll give him a couple on that one. 2nd and 8 coming up. The offense calls timeout. It's the second one they've used this half. Back to throw, and he needs to make a play. Makes the grab. All down, but they'll move the sticks as he picks up the first down. Clock stops momentarily for the first down. They'll hurry to the line. DBs will try to keep everything in front. Plenty of work to do here on 2nd and long. Back to pass. Takes the easy completion. The offense will use a timeout with 25 seconds left. A field goal attempt from this spot would be 52 yards out. A few yards on 3rd down would make it easier. Slithers into space. They'll stop him short on 3rd down in this defense, trying to make sure they stay on top. They'll play it safe and try for 3. Looks as if this will be a 51-yard attempt. What a show both of these teams put on today. Couple of outstanding squads. Hotly contested battle all the way to the very end.
Yeah, we came into this one expecting this to be a back-and-forth battle. We knew it was going to go down late into the 4th quarter. At the end of the day, the higher-ranked team, David, they were really able to lean on those playmakers and that leadership they've got in the locker room.
Yeah, and now I think even more so, you're starting to believe in them. They're battle-tested. This team they find a way to get things done. That's why they're ranked where they're at. And I expect this team to stay in contention for the college football playoff because they're proving week in and week out they're a really good squad.
That will put the wrap on things from here. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis. You've been watching another presentation of EA Sports College Football.